want to talk a little bit more about design. I posted a written description of a few things to keep in mind when designing. Again, as I mentioned in the past, I like to sort of trace it back to the foundational principles of line, shape, form, value, color, arrangement of elements. And on this particular painting, I wanted to talk a little bit about spacing, sort of like notes in music. I've noticed that a lot of you, if you're going to paint a row of pine trees or tree trunks like this, you tend to arrange them very evenly. And we as humans tend to want to do that because we need to create order out of chaos. And when you're painting an organic subject like this, where things are just kind of everywhere, you want to sort of pull all the parts together and arrange them in a meaningful way, just like you would your backyard, if you're landscaping a yard. But what you want to do is play off both the organic and that organized balance of elements. You'll notice all these trees, the spacing is different on every one of them. I have two clustered over here to help counterbalance the two that are over here that are dominant. You'll notice this darker tree. I wanted to make sure I had a definitive focal point in here, one tree that really stood out. So it's the widest and it's on a plane in front of all the others. So it comes forward and they stay back. I needed areas where I have a larger shape, so it's not just negative space back here in terms of sky. You'll notice that this appears to be in the middle of the canvas, but it isn't. If you divide it, it's not. It's off center slightly to the right. But because of the positioning of these trees, it might create that illusion, which helps kind of focus the attention as well. But it's important to really think about that and move these elements around. Like Carlson said, don't paint these subjects as stupidly as you find them, something along those lines. A lot of what's happening in the foreground here is completely made up. Again, I'm watching spacing of all the elements and trying to create variety. I want to lead in. I don't want it to go too evenly here, so it's coming this way and then follows back and then up into the painting. Silhouetting highlights off of darks. Everything I can use in terms of those foundational principles to exaggerate the design or a creation of a stronger design. I mean, even all the way to this indication of a water feature back there. That was to play up on a horizontal counter to all the verticals that are happening everywhere with the tree trunks. Subjects like this, to me, are infinitely more interesting than something that just sort of presents itself in a very obvious way. And the reason is we get to move elements around. I mean, this is just a burnt forest outside of Jackson, Wyoming. And rearranging and repositioning these trunks and things, who's going to know? In 2 years, well, this has changed greatly since I painted this some time ago. In 2 years, a lot of these trees might fall down and or not be there, or these smaller plants that are starting to come up might get much larger and change. So it's not like painting the Grand Teton where the drawing has to be just right. This frees us up to be a little more expressive and inventive and creative with the arrangement of elements, which I want you folks to think about. So again, placement, width, spacing, which plane are they on? Where are the colors? Do you want to create a pattern with the organization of how high these warm notes are? Think about that and really design these paintings above and beyond what's presented to you.
Hi, my name is Matt Smith. One of the primary goals of this online course is to give folks the opportunity to study with me for a full year at their convenience, on their own time frame. It's not always easy to block out a week or more time to travel to a distant location for the purpose of studying with an artist of choice. Allowing oneself to study as their schedule permits creates a more relaxed atmosphere, which in turn opens the mind to learning. This is an opportunity I really wish I had in my early years. The course begins with an introductory module covering the basic consideration of tools, equipment, studio arrangement, lighting, the importance of indoor versus outdoor time, photography as a tool, and much more. This first module will set the tone for the remaining modules, which will dive more deeply into the basics of drawing, value, design, and color. In the remaining 4 modules, I'll discuss why these basics are important, how to identify them, and in return, how to use them not only to analyze your chosen subject, but how to use them to create a blueprint for building your painting. It is so important to train your mind to see and think as an artist rather than someone who just documents what's in front of them. The way to do this is by understanding these fundamentals and applying them to the subject at hand. In other words, see by way of the basics, line, shape, value, etc., rather than all the physical components that make up the finished scene, like twigs, pebbles, and leaves. I'll then reinforce these concepts with both unedited visuals, photographs, and finished paintings that support the idea at hand. I'll then complete a demo of a subject that represents the particular fundamental addressed in each module. I'll also include a variety of photographic images for student use. Participants will also have access to me throughout the year by way of a private Facebook group. You'll be able to contact me with questions related to areas of difficulty or whatever you may be working on and want to discuss. This one-on-one time is where we can really fine-tune areas of interest for you. Thank you, and I really hope you can join me.